Join us every weekend, though the vibe's so fine. Saturday, sit down with Mr. Drayton. Shine!
Grab a friend.
Can't start without that. Shout out to Rita Moreno. I love you, mommy. She said every Saturday morning, every day on the electric company, she set me off. I love that. I learned how to count. I learned how to think critically. Thank you to the electric company. Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday Sit Down. It's your man, Gregory the Talented Mr. Drayton. See, the sign says it all right back there. You met each and every Saturday, Alice's baby boy, each and every Saturday, I bring to you my finest when the Saturday sit down here and I drag along some homies for their for their insights. I'm a little sleepy this morning. I'm gonna just tell y'all the truth because I had a rough week. I had some acid reflux issues. So you're lucky to have me. Anyway. I'm just kidding. But today is really a show of love. I'm going to show love to Black people because I think we need it. And shout out to us for staying to the house. And we are letting this white civil war play out as it should between the whites. And I'm going to discuss the things that I like. And you know one thing I love? Sit down with the homies. My beautiful co-host and the turner of my letters. Not really.
I like that title.
Man of Black. Exactly. Yeah. Right. You know, some people call him, he was called Manners. I think he likes that too well.
Mr. Manners, yes. I'm gonna have to work on that. I'm gonna do a cream on y'all one day, and I'm just gonna come in. I'm just gonna look evil.
With a different wig on. I love it.
Right.
Good morning, Virgos. How you doing, man? Listen, he's Tuesday night's own swag. So Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch him doing the swag sweep presented by M3, 7 p.m. on Saturdays. He will get you right, get you tight. We can find out what T'Challa's watching. We can find out shit his mama said. We can check out catch up on Tech Tuesdays. You know a show is good when you can remember the segments. That's really good. So thank you so much for bringing all the entertainment and swag to us on Tuesday. How are you today?
I am doing great. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Tijuana.
Oh, yes, I forgot you're live from Tijuana with a cat 6 leagues below the sea.
Mm-hmm. And he's currently surveying all that he owns, which isn't anything, but he thinks he does. So I'm gonna let him enjoy that cat fantasy of his.
Everything but nothing. All right.
Right.
My partner in crime, the founder of M3 himself. I was waiting. He entrusted me to sit in for him on Wednesday nights, but you can catch him Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Malcolm the Philosopher King. I don't know how he did. You have to know too much to do that.
Malcolm knows a lot. He knows a lot.
I had to take notes and I had to read shit and listen to it. I had to watch the video clips about 5 times to understand. So I said to myself, I am not bright enough to do this. Good morning.
I tried to find some more lighthearted stuff, but I couldn't.
Well, Monday, I'm not going to be at work. At least do the person that's
Monday, I'm going to have lighthearted topics. I don't know if Devon.
One of your topics was lighthearted. We enjoyed one of your topics. We'll see it in the rewind. But yeah.
And I plan on finding more lighthearted topics. I actually just asked ChatGPT, whatever GPT. I need to give him a name. Say Bernard. I asked Bernard.
Right.
Earl.
For some lighthearted websites, and so I will bring us lighthearted news.
It is. That's right. Everything the light touches.
Yes.
The person said that about T'Challa over at Virgo. Says everything the light touches is his. He's the Lion King now. Not that dude. Anyway,
Mhm.
so catch him, Malcolm, on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with a plethora of shows that we'll be going over later that you can catch during the week. I'd like to thank each and every one of us each Saturday for sitting down with me. Yay, because I know you have plenty of choices of internet entertainment and you chose moi. Let's get this party started. Now, if I said to you some song titles, Isn't She Lovely? I Wish, I Do. Who would you say, Malcolm? And you're not even a cultural person. Would you know the names of those songs?
Of course, yeah. It's from. Well, I don't know the entire discography of Stevie Wonder, but
Oh,
I would say "Songs in the Key of Life" is my favorite album.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like from beginning to end, it's banger after banger. And like you were saying, the meanings of these songs are so deep. Like you can enjoy it on a surface level, but actually knowing what the songs are about was like, oh, you go mind blown. Your mind just explodes when you actually.
That is, people don't realize that you're just not a musical person. So I am
Yeah.
to hear this.
Well, I would say like I like music, but I typically do not follow artists and celebrities in general unless they have something like some sort of pull over the culture, or are they making some sort of statement about reality that matters to me. Like I'm not into the personal machinations of someone's life, like who's dating who or whatever, that kind of thing.
Right.
I love the music.
Yeah, that's wonderful
Yeah.
that you said that, because that's what we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
So, Swag, if I say Stevie Wonder to you, what is your first Stevie Wonder go to? What is your fave on the Stevie Wonder scale?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, Isn't She Lovely is probably one of my favorites.
Songs in the
Yeah. I mean, I and the reason I think I had such an affinity for that album is because my mom had that album. So like, she was
Queen
always
played.
Listen. I can tell you some stories about the Queen back in the day, and I got the pictures to prove it. But no, I just remember us having like one of those big
components,
high-five stereos, right? And like one of those albums that she just had, and I just remember playing it all the time. So
until I got older, I didn't understand the cultural relevance of Stevie Wonder and the blackness of Stevie Wonder. Let me get the placard of the actual podcast. So, a good friend of mine, Marcus Richardson, suggested, he said, Greg, you are a huge Stevie Wonder fan. I'm surprised you did not know it, but Audible, along with the Obamas, have produced this wonderful, and it's only like 10 episodes, The Wonder of Stevie, and it gives you it gives you background on what is called Stevie's classic period. So put the picture up of the albums, please. So record scholars and people in the industry consider Stevie's like the Mozart of our time, and this was considered his classic period, where he produced 5 albums within a 4-year span of time, beginning with Music of My Mind and ending with Songs in the Key of Life. Now, of course, he went on to produce and make many more hits, but this is what is considered his classic period. And in the podcast, you can take it down. In the podcast, it does not only talk about the music itself, but it talks about the cultural relevance. And what I've found just amazing that I really want you guys to go back and listen, it's just the parallels between now and then. I didn't realize, but Nixon was the equivalent to Trump. He really was. And I'm gonna skip to Intervisions. There's a song on Intervisions called Mr. Know-It-All. It's about Nixon, but you can interchange the name Trump with Nixon. Now, of course, Nixon was a bit more polished and not as bombastic as Trump. educated and a former governor and things of that nature. But just because you can hide your ignorance or your loathing for a certain group of people does not mean you don't have it. So in this classic period of just Stevie's greatness, Stevie, it was his coming of age. He started with Motown when he was 13, 12, 9, something ridiculous. And he did Fingertips was his first major record release. So Suzanne DePass and the wonderful Berry Gordy, who everybody's still with us, thank God, bubble wrap those people, got together and he needed to figure out how to become I'm a grown man Stevie from Little Stevie. He was a singer-songwriter. I didn't realize Stevie had wrote Tears of a Clown. So he had already, began writing Tears of a Clown for Smokey Robinson. And the Motown sound had took off in the 60s. And the black artists on Motown were polished and suited, which made them very very, very, very crossover available for white people because they had on suits and ties, and they were allowed into not all black spaces. People were seeing more visibility of artists like Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, the Supremes, the Shirelles, and all that house of that wonderful Motown talent. But, near the end of the 50s and the 60s, it began to get a little more volatile in our society. And Stevie wanted to kind of mirror what was going on during that time. So he was one of the first artists to negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal at 20 with Motown, because he was the biggest selling artist on Motown, and even now he still has that distinction, by the way. Motown is still in business. I was shocked to research that. I was like, oh, I'll go Motown. There was a part in their history where they left Hitsville and moved out to Los Angeles, but Stevie was able to negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal, which was huge, which would have been worth hundreds of millions of dollars this year. And through this deal, he also, guess what, got his own publishing, which would go on to set the precedent for other artists like Prince. Hendrix, I think, owned his own publishing, and artists like that, which is very, very interesting. But the first album, Music of My Mind, kind of spawned a few hits. I mean, but it was kind of low key. But the thing about Music in My Mind was, he created instruments. He made instruments to kind of to make the sound that my mind was just like, I knew it, but to hear it and some of those things were in the Grammy Museum. So I've seen them. So they were like huge monstrosities of like keyboards and wires and all these things, but just for sound. And I was thinking to myself, Swag, I was like, yo, he must have because as a blind man, Malcolm, you know this, but you have to have an incredible imagination to be able to write songs in that caliber, to write about color and love and be very descriptive. And really, he had seen it at some point in his life because he wasn't always blind. He went blind at a young age. But, to know those things, as a blind person and often what gets me is the last thing I think about when I think about Stevie, is that he's not sighted. You know what I mean? I think about songwriter, I think about singer, I think about father, I think about grandfather. But him, and really, until I see him somewhere in public being led by somebody, I just don't think about it. And it's incredibly amazing that I don't think anybody else in his life does. With the release of Music of My Mind, It was just began that, and the music began to change. Now, one of my favorite albums was second in this trilogy of five. I'm sorry, in this group of five. It's not a trilogy unless it's three. Sorry. Is Talking Book. Now, Talking Book has Maybe My Baby, Superstition. Oh my God. Maybe My Baby, Superstition. You Are the Sunshine of My Life, which is now elevator music. So this music is right. You think about it, it's like the fabric of our being, fabric of our lives. And so we also go on to know some of what was being mirrored with the music is, and so I think about, again, the parallel of today's time and what we're going through today, and I began to, so I'm not watching the news, Malcolm. I am reading the news. I'm reading popular stories that come across. And it's better. I can stop reading when it gets to be triggered. I don't have to.
Right.
Well, I guess I can turn the TV off, but no self-control. Hey, Nate, no self-control here. So, I began to, and then I compared the Stevie Wonder to what was happening now.
Yeah.
And I think we need that in Black cohesiveness, because even though so to promote the first album, they sent Stevie on the road to open up for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Which kind of opened up a whole nother audience for him, because back then music was very segregated. The blacks are over here, white music is over here. And music genius and good albums were left for like the Stones and Led Zeppelin. They were judged in their greatness, in which they're great acts on their own. I'm not gonna take it away from them. But they were judged with their greatness with stuff like musicality and stuff like that. But we Black artists were known as hit makers, not album makers. Stevie began to string these. Stevie began to stream. To sew together these albums. Well, this one album that had a social construct to it, as well as a funk and musicality construct to it. Growing up in the church in Central Michigan, Stevie kind of there were hints and notes of rock, punk, and funk. So he went on tour with the Stones, and of course. As the folklore goes, what's his name? Mick Jagger got arrested, and Stevie had to play for an hour and a half while Mick got out of jail and came from upstate to New York City to play. But Stevie had the crowd in such a frenzy, playing and playing some Stones covers. And so at the end of the Stones set, they brought Stevie on, they played together. I think that was an important cultural moment. I just remember seeing the footage and thinking like, wow, that was a moment. But with that album, so I think the turn, I know Malcolm said his favorite album was Songs of Ken Life, and I think that's most of our favorite ones. But like I said, mine is kind of like Talking Book, because Talking Book also has a song on it called Big Brother. And Big Brother is a song about the government only watching you and paying attention to what you do, and only come around when it's election time, and they promise you lies. And they tell you lies, and then they get in the office and they do the exact opposite. So, having heard this music from years, again, from my parents, and it's kind of like a rite of passage to because even with my kid, he would tell you at the tender age of 30, oh, Stevie Wonder is his favorite artist, and Stevie hasn't made anything particularly new in decades. And I think that's amazing. I'm trying to think of an artist these days that has a cultural relevance like Stevie had then. Can we think of any? Nope. John Legend, maybe.
Mm,
Definitely Jay-Z.
you talking
Or-
about of this generation or
Yeah. This generation.
um
Not Beyonce.
I mean that's reach, I suppose. I remember when we were reading the book, like there is something to be said about like the shifting views of feminism and Beyonce. Like people wouldn't make up the idea that Beyonce is the devil or part of the Illuminati if she wasn't making an impact, you know?
Right.
Um
Yeah.
the powers that be are afraid of liberated.
Yeah, they do
feminism.
talk about
Yeah.
that in the last book we were reading.
So yeah, in that regard, we're not the audience for her music, even though we love it. The audience for that music, it definitely hits. And
Mhm.
I don't know who else.
She has until as of late. I think her first few albums were
Yeah, I mean, since her
Yes.
self-titled album has kind of shifted, but like prior to that, it was very much
music, yeah.
music for young women. But
Or the gays. Let's not leave out the gays.
well, yeah, I mean, there's a blur there.
The lines.
Some of these gays think they're young women, but, or they love the culture of women. Yeah.
So after we finish talking about Steve, that's funny. We're gonna start reading the next topic after we go through a few more songs and my Stevie indulgence. We're gonna talk about Black people and cultural things and stuff like where did it start when one of us runs, all of us runs, or stuff like who all gonna be over there. You know, that is very true. Like, or if I say to you, God is good all the time, your response would be,
and all the time, God is good.
Yeah.
That's right. That is it is like a cultural call and response. And it is understood. It is understood. The high five and the head nod. All those things are culturally understood. So we'll be talking about that later. And I wanted to start off with some true blackness. And then what also interests me about this podcast, and it's just delicious. They had people. It was produced by Michelle and Barack Obama for Pineapple Street Studios. Stevie helped with it, and so then they brought on some white critics who kind of admitted they got it wrong. So that they put these great titles on these white artists, and because some of the stuff is very black and very, very aimed towards black people. Like you said, it was like, did your mother listen to Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, most definitely.
She
Wonder,
was a musician.
Yeah. Hers was probably her favorite. Was either God, I can't remember. What was it? Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think it was hers. And
music lady. Oh wow, that's a beautiful sound. Yeah, that was my mom too. She liked the horns, and my mom was a music lady too. I think she was a groupie at one point. Was following around. It was a couple of summers I didn't see her. I don't know where she went.
It was mostly Earth, Wind, and Fire. I can't remember who else, but
and so then, we had unfortunately. Also, speaking of, I was about to talk about Roberta Flack real quick, but speaking of that, rest in peace, George Floyd. We lost him yesterday. George Foreman. Not George Floyd. He's already gone. George Foreman, thank you for the boxing. Thank you for all the Georges. Thank you for the grill. What the story about the grill is he just walked into a meeting and they were like, "Hey, George, we invented this grill. Can we put your name on it?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're going to have to give me a piece of everyone that sold." And he said he never had to work again. So that's congratulations See you.
I just threw mine out. I'm just saying, I've had several of them.
Oh, really?
I used it so
They
many
break
times.
after a while. They break
They
after.
do, but I had that bitch for like 20 years. So I mean,
Wow.
yeah,
Mine's still.
finally,
I'm gonna make a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich when I get up.
I see some recipes now. The recipes are for air fryers. I guess that has taken over.
Mhm.
But,
So so that's funny. We're gonna bear off for a minute. The thing about air fryers, I hate to do this because this is such a important thing, but the food hasn't like no taste. Like I'm just like I'm trying. Like we use the air fryer all the time, and I'm like we're trying to get, and I always have to put seasoning on the shit.
yeah, you do.
I don't like that. I like, and I was watching my girl. She's a comedian. She does all these things on YouTube and the internet. And she was like, I just like grease. I like my food to be cooked in something. You know what I mean? And she's like, my heart is gonna hate me for it, but I just like the grease.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it. Give me the grease. All right.
For me, the convenience can't be beat. Like I just love
Yes,
how
absolutely.
It's like you shouldn't necessarily make your food in the microwave. I see it as like a microwave alternative. Obviously
Yes,
it's not.
agreed.
Well, I'm gonna go back to using the crock pot. I'll let you boy.
I use both. Yeah, like I will actually cook my meat in the air fryer and then put it in the crock pot.
Yeah,
That's
get
a
that
good
sear
cheat.
on it, and then let it just cook all the way through.
Yeah, you brown the meat in the air fryer and then you put it in the crock pot.
I'm a master with the Instapot.
Mhm.
I actually used it yesterday.
Yeah.
One Malcolm, somebody on this panel has a new stove with a griddle in the middle.
Gio,
I love those.
And they make these wonderful pancakes.
Yeah.
And they will call a friend of theirs every Saturday mornings when they are flipping fluffy pancakes.
I found out how to make pancakes in an air fryer.
Okay.
No, it's good. Basically, what you do is you put the batter into like a ketchup dispenser, and then you layer it with pieces of parchment paper.
I've seen that. I saw somebody do that the other day. I was like, okay.
It works. And what you do for me is you put like fruit in it. Like when you put each layer, it's fucking delicious. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, no flavor. Unless you put something in, no flavor.
You have to put something in. Like obviously. Like
juices to it. So in the spring of 77 or 78, Stevie Wonder was involved in a horrific car crash. That he was in a coma for almost. Mr. Frazier, how are you? Oh yeah, you did have a pancake line. I know everybody that does everything. Good Lord.
What's the name of that pancake line, Mr. Frazier?
He did have a pancake line. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did he or does he?
He did. Absolutely wonderful. That was exactly it.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Frazier, if you go look in my cupboard in Sweet Harlem, I think I still have a box in there. Go check. But yeah, so
I was gonna say the pancakes in the air fryer are awesome because they're crispy. I don't know. I love midnight.
I like crispy, but they're not crispy with butter. They're just crispy for the
You
sake.
put butter on it. It's such an easy fix. You literally just like flip butter, and it's delicious.
I don't trust it. I don't trust it. So
It's such an easy fix. It's like what? You don't have enough seasoning.
Stop it. Stop it. I'm not gonna read that. I'm not gonna read that. Terrible.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, in 78, I believe. Stevie was, and don't quote that date because that may not be correct. Stevie was, him and his cousin was driving down to North Carolina, and he was involved in a horrific car crash. Now, this was just weeks after the release of Talking Book, maybe the second one, Talking Book. So, and then he wasn't so quick on releasing records because he was doing 2 a year, and then the next one, Fulfillment and the Sadness and Fulfillment. I forget the actual title. Sorry. because it's so long. He in the album he goes into the car crash and all those things, and it gives me one of my favorite Stevie songs. They Won't Go When I Go. It was covered a few decades later by George Michael, but nothing is said like Stevie. So, and that kind of changed his music. That album was a little bitter. It was less happy. But in these 5 albums, he was nominated for album and one album of the year 3 times out of the 5. So these group of albums were considered his classic period. So again, can you put the placket up for the podcast?
Mhm.
I would suggest you go check out Audible Originals, The Wonder of Stevie. It's a Higher Ground Pineapple Street Studios production, brought to you by the Obamas and Stevie Wonder himself. It is a great jaunt down the musical lane. It features Janelle Monáe, Yolanda Adams with her big ass head. Some music critics. So just check that out. It's The Wonder of Stevie, and then put the albums up. And so, if you wanted, these are the 5 albums that are considered his classic period right here. Innovision and Songs in the Key of Life is probably my 2 favorite. I love talking about all of them. Fuck it, go.
True, I like music from all of those, but yeah. As a single unit, I just kind of go with. So,
yeah, but I honestly, I really think you are correct. Songs in the Key of Life is probably that one album you can just put on and go ham. Just go ham. So, continuing on with the topic of blackness. I was talking to Swag the other day. I was like, it's funny. Well, I kind of got this from your show, Michael, because we were talking about like appropriate black things and black exceptionalism and all that stuff. But it's funny the things that black people pass down culturally. Like when one of us runs, all of us runs. We said it before, and God is good all the time. God is good. You know what I mean? Like, you give the black man nod if you're in a room full of black people, you make sure you make eye contact with the other black person in the room.
Yeah, and I was actually having a conversation about the idea that Black English is its own dialect of English that, is completely disrespected. But when someone code switches, we all understand each other,
Mm-hmm.
It has its own verb and tense and, usage. But I don't know. I always got the sort of pushback from my mom about, being able to code switch. That it's like, just because I can code switch doesn't mean we should denigrate Black English. Like, it is our
So she is a proponent to use it.
I should say I am. I think she was afraid that my opportunities would be limited if I couldn't code switch. That maybe there was an overcorrection there, and maybe that's in my own head and not in hers. It's my interpretation, not hers.
Yeah, I think it's yours.
Could be, but what I'm saying is that my interpretation was that because she wanted to make sure that I was able to code switch, that you were somehow saying that Black English is not real, or isn't a legitimate dialect of English, and it is. And I think it's kind of interesting when studying it, like now as an adult. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's all.
I think, and that's why we always talk about your experiences with code switching and blackness growing up. The other Tijuana, the North Tijuana.
Yeah. Well, see, what's funny is, like, when you think about the Great Migration, like, people from Georgia were the ones who typically moved to Chicago and Detroit, mainly from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, kind of moved up. Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina kind of moved to like the Northeast, and then you had like Texas moving out to California. Yes, trails of the migration. So people in Chicago talk like people down here as well. It's different, but it's very similar.
Right.
Black English.
So yeah.
Mm.
So,
And I think, because and it's funny because now when people say it, there's some actual pushback now. Like when people, as we say, use the King's English. Like actually, like my stepsister, she gets mad when everybody says that like her son is using proper English. She's like, no, he's just speaking English. As if to say that like just
That
because
is
he.
true. She has a point there.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that there's a lot of pushback from people who do that because I do agree that like AAVE is kind of it is a language all of its own, and I think we all we may not understand it all, but we pretty much can get it pretty quickly, and I just think that's something that's really unique to the Black experience that a lot of other people, a lot of other nationalities maybe don't get or don't understand. But I love that. I love the fact that I can say something and we all wink and nod and we know exactly what we're talking about, and everybody else is like, I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's like, oh, what are you talking? And it started off as a way to communicate with each other,
yeah.
and some of us weren't educated. That's how we pronounce the words, but it began another way to, like, I read the origins of high five or the black handshake. It was a signal that you were cool, that everything was good, that you weren't like an old fade selling niggas on the side. I just found that to be. So how did we get from language to cultural things that we all do? Like it's like I know you see other Black people and you kind of just assimilate to what they do, but like cultural things like line dancing at cookouts, like I'm telling you something. It's like kids, you come out the womb doing the damn electric slide, and
Right.
how do we all know what the electric slide is all about? Do we still let our children do it? I mean, it's a whole thing. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, it's a really amazing to me, and so, and what made me think about this topic, Malcolm, was because I was online. Like now, thank you again, Beyonce. Now we're doing. Black people have a country western renaissance, and we are
Right.
scooting all over the place, and white people are pissed. I mean, they
Yeah.
are. We're doing it to say, y'all just go over there. Y'all got Trump. Y'all got the White House. We gonna go over here, and we're gonna stay to the house. We're gonna go to each other's house. We're gonna go to the cabaret. My girl, Niecy Nice Bet, shout out, Niecy, delicious. She had a birthday party, and it was cowgirl themed.
Mm.
And her and all those gays that she invited, and the non-gays as well, that she invited, it was amazing. Like they were just boot scooting, they had cowboy hats and chaps on. And I love how when we decide we're gonna take something back. And whether you like Beyonce or not, that was her whole point. You may not like me, but we did this first. Cowboy was a term to refer to the black ranch hands. You know what I mean? And so we're just gonna take that. We're gonna go and take that back, and then they just said, So the interesting thing was, and so she was just like, and then now we moved it over to. But even before then, back in my mama's time, they would line dance, and everybody know when you hear Frankie Beverly, doom, 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 doom. Oh, even the people in the wheelchairs, you know what I mean? It's like those cultural cues that
Yeah.
that you are. That you are in a place of agreement.
Right.
I mean, or we all sing on the same key. And so the other thing about this, Stevie, one of the things that ties into this is how Stevie fought for the King holiday back in '83, and he wrote the song "Happy Birthday." Now, which is a way to sing "Happy Birthday" to Black people.
Yeah, some people don't even know it's a Stevie Wonder song. They just
do not
call it the Black Happy Birthday.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So I saw this thing, which this week was full of blackness for me. I saw this kid. He was like 5. It was a video from like 2023. And they talked about it on the podcast. So I went and found the video. The kids' classmates sung "Happy Birthday." And it was like, "Happy birthday to you," and the little boy was kind of confused. So he was. The little boy was very confused. Yeah. The teacher was like, "What's wrong, Michael?" Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
What's wrong, Michael? And he's like, "Can you sing the other one?"
And they're probably like, "What other one?" That's the only one we know.
And he was like, "Yeah, the song." She was like, "Well, that's the song. That's the Happy Birthday song." And he began to sing it, and he taught it to his classmates, and everybody in the class was like, "Happy birthday to you." And so it's things like that. It's just like, I think in this time of very tumultuousness, if that's a word, I think we are rediscovering Black joy. I know I am.
Yeah.
Just rediscovering Black joy.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say that's part of the reason why we have such cultural history is because we were ostracized and otherized by the rest of the culture. Like, you can't create your own culture if you're not forcibly exiled from mainstream culture, And so I think that is a plus side that's just bound to happen with the resurgence of white supremacy, is like a thickening, a toughening, a blooming of Black culture, and just I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Right. I mean, you can look at
the
Emmys this year, the Grammys this year.
Mm-hmm. It's bound to happen. Yeah.
Like it or not, a Black woman took home country album of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, and if you go back and you look over like history, I mean, it is usually Black people who are leading the culture. Like, everything we do, they want to copy it. I mean, and I think it's got to the point now where we've now adopted this thing about that everybody is culturally appropriating everything that we do, because we came up with this stuff. We came up with the dances. We come up with the hairstyles. We come up with the fashion. We come up with the music. We come up with all this stuff. And it's always somebody who just kind of bites a little bit and tries to make it their own. And it's just like, but we did it first. Like we love to talk about. Well, I like to talk about how like everybody thought Friends was like this great show that like about, and it's like,
so they saw Living Single.
Living Single was first, and they did it better. And it's like it's funny because I was talking about it to somebody the other day. I said I watched like 2, maybe 3 episodes of Friends, never laughed once. I never thought it was funny, but of course, they borrowed from Living Single, and they made it their own, and these people got rich off of it, and were commanding $1 million per episode and stuff like that. And it's just like, but that's usually the way it happens. We have seen it happen time and time and time and time again.
Well, amen. He gave us Queen Latifah, though. Amen. So,
honestly, what Friends did was like they dumbed it down. Like, none of the jokes had any nuance. They never had any like cultural relevance to anything real. Now there is one thing that they added to the culture, which a lot of people don't really attribute to Friends, but the term friend zone, like people talking about putting someone in the friend zone, was actually a joke from Friends. And somehow it caught on and was a thing.
Oh, wow. Never knew that.
I mean, it's just one of those things where if millions upon millions of people are watching it on a weekly basis, it's bound to put certain things. There are other small things like that where, like say, for instance, the design of coffee shops are basically a reflection of the Friends coffee shop. Was a thing.
And let's not forget they unleashed the Rachel haircut. All white people wanted that haircut. It's like, okay, we'll get that. We'll give them that.
There are little things like that. And while it wasn't funny, there were aspects that when picked apart were funny. Like when other people made fun of the Friends episodes, like how bad it was or how cliche certain things in Friends were. Like it's
Mhm.
pretty funny to make fun of Friends, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but you had to reach
Exactly.
or you had to reach too hard. You know what I mean? Like living. I mean, Living Single was funny up front.
It
Like
was. But
Regine,
I'll tell you this though, Friends also had the capacity because it was so dumbed down. You could watch a show of Friends with the sound off and figure out what's going on. I mean, that's how because it was just so obvious what was happening. It was like,
shout out to Kim Fields. I'll never forget. I was sitting there with my mother watching Living Single, and she said, "Girl, you got to get right. You got to laugh and then do this." It says, "I can smile and I have these." I love it. That's great writing. I see you. I see you, Christian. And you, Christian, brings up a point about Black mental health. We talk about that quite often. It's
yeah.
and it's real. It is. But that is one thing that's changing too, because we often, especially on Malcolm's Hour, or 90 Minutes, we often pull content creators that are doctors and therapists, and they are Black people talking to Black people about Black people for Black people about Black shit. So, so we do. And Mr. Frazier, thank you for all that you do for bringing mental health to the forefront. He is a wonderful speaker, former actor, former New Yorker, former, but now he's currently doing his turn on the catwalk as a motivational speaker and those veterans' mental health and Black people's mental health. I saw a talk that he gave the other day. Somebody kind of take it for granted, like, oh, it's a video, I'll watch it later. But I got someone to end up watching the whole thing. I was like, oh, it's really innate and great. But definitely. So if you are, please, we appreciate you, and please, we are in this time because we are in a time of tumultuous things. I know the news is scary and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Please reach out to your mental health provider, or if you need some help, reach out to us. We'll try to get you some help. I know we're not doctors nor therapists of any means, but we will try to point you in the right direction and give you somebody to talk to. If you leave us a message, we will respond, and we'll appreciate you guys each and every week for coming in and joining us. Keep up the Blackness. There's plenty of Black content. There's plenty of Black music and Black shows and Black. I just saw Opus with the young lady from The Bear. I can never, because she has an African name I can never pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher it. I don't know, something like that. But her and John Malkovich, it's an A24 film. It's produced by Future and Nile Rodgers. Just random. And it's so good. It's so good. It's a very, very short. I told Swag about it the other day. I went over to some friends' house for dinner, and we went there afterwards. And it was just I was like, what the fuck is this? And then it got good. It got interesting. Tune in to Patreon. I'll tell you more about it. I don't want to spoil it for those who may say. It's called Opus. It's an A24 film. It's delicious. Yes. Is that her name?
Yes. But I don't know how to pronounce it either. So I don't
right. Her. Shout out to her for not making her name. She didn't pick a European name. She picked her name. So I know her first name is Ao. I do know that. So I'm just
yeah.
You know that. But she is a Golden Globe and an Emmy winner. She started off as a comic. For some reason they consider hey, what's up, Mr. Hogan? For some reason they treat happy weekend to you, buddy. Nice picture. For some reason they treat The Bear like a comedy. It is not funny at all. We were just talking about it last night. He was like, I only watched half an episode. It is not funny. I was like, it is really not a comedy. They kind of got you on that one. So looking for comedy. It's great acting. It's great storytelling, but it is not a comedy. I don't want you to do that.
I think it was just because of what they were up against. They wanted to put it up for consideration as a comedy. Because at the time,
And
I think it was
do not consider it to be a comedy at all. I think that's so odd for that
yeah.
to be
It was
considered comedy.
it is so
It
triggering.
was, it was a good strategy for award seasons because there were certain shows that were just mopping up all of the awards.
Right.
It's something that sometimes there's some other shows that have done that.
Yeah, and it ain't fair. It's not fair.
No, it's not.
This is not fair. It's almost like stealing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we have come to the favorite part, like, because I like to celebrate us here in M3. I love us. It's us, right? I love us. This is the point where we do the weekly rewind. So strap in. We have a short one this week because I'm in my own weekly rewind this week. I just thought about did you go back and watch Wednesday's show, Michael?
No. I'm just getting settled. I had to. Well, I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, I know what you had to do, but I'm just saying, like, as I was nervous, like I had to read. He's so smart. So I have to read.
Well, I'm glad I was even able to come up with topics. I was working on a phone, and I was like, I didn't even know I could do this.
And the crazy part was, I was like, you sent like 5. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get through all 5.
I wanted to send more. I couldn't. I was like, I usually do 6 or 7 in a show.
Christ in the morning. So I like to add some levity to this. So I had to put some time in there for comic relief.
Well, now the good thing is the ones we didn't use, you already got them for next week. So.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And I do not feel triggered with when I see
That's
them.
good. Perfect.
Listen, okay, so here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you for your viewing pleasure the weekly rewind. Here it is. Now, do the best.
So, if you are a top, would you date somebody who says that they are verse?
No.
John, what do you say?
All depends.
Okay.
Because
All right.
usually verse is code word if I'm a bottom and I don't want to tell you. So maybe.
Well, let me play this clip. So, because this guy had something to say about it, and I thought he made an interesting point. So let me play this.
But I gotta ask, what is your preference?
My preference is men.
What kind of men? Mass? We dealing with them?
Masculine men.
Men with nails? What we dealing with? Because the spectrum is intersexual.
I love everybody to be themselves, but my preference is masculine men. So
more of a top bottom or a verse, or would you entertain a verse seriously?
I would entertain a verse, but I'm a top. So
if you found love and they happen to be a verse, what does that interaction look like? You gonna settle or you gonna move on?
I don't know if I would call it settling because I'm open-minded, but we can have a conversation because if I'm a top and you a verse, you gotta let me know. Are you going outside trying to get something else that I'm not willing to give you?
Wait, hold on. Are you poly or open?
I could be poly.
But what about open though?
I'm open.
So
I'm an open-minded person, and like I said, I'm not judgmental. So I want you to be yourself, and let's just open the conversation.
Let me challenge that. What about our trans men and women? Would you ever date anyone trans identifying?
I don't know. I'm open though. I love.
You say that,
I love the trans community. I got
you
people.
can
There's
still
people that I know that have transitioned over time. So I'm open to everybody, being what they are. But I don't know that I'm not comfortable being in this situation, being with the trans.
Really?
Yeah. Shout out to all the bad women.
Trans. Why gonna be a trans?
I'm open.
Yeah, she ought to sit down. How much? That girl. No.
Now, before we go any further, I have to say, this one comment took me out. So let me pull it up real quick. Somebody said, "You think I'm gonna let a man who wears a bejeweled jean jacket top me, girl?"
Oh no!
I was about to say it.
I said, "Oh no."
Jewel.
Bedazzled. A jean jacket, sat at home and bedazzled that motherfucker.
Come back to Devon.
The thing
He might be. That's next
I
week.
can't. The things I come back to. But anyway, let's keep going.
John, that's
Moving right along.
John, he might still be a little too sad. That's next week.
Wow.
You weren't
Wow.
Moving right along. Welcome
Right.
back, Nick.
Yeah, welcome back.
definitely welcome back. So in this video, this young man is making the point that people are hating on couples that play together. There's a point,
Jealousy.
right? So let's discuss this on the other end. My dear assistant Vanna Black, roll that beautiful meme footage. Thank you.
I hope this is the right one. Let me see.
Oh Lord.
Ain't nobody labeled this
I think this is it right here.
I love to hate on couples who only play together. 1 second. To my ladies and my straight people, play means having gay sex. I know, confusing, right? Guys would always hit me up like, I'm looking for fun. And I would tell them, fun things to do in the city. Can we just use the actual words? Okay, I'm back. And yeah, y'all are always like, oh, it's always a hot one and an ugly one trying to play together. Mind you, you're not in a relationship. Or you're in an open one because someone had to settle for you. So you should be nicer to your neighbors. Couple is sharing you for an evening. That's love, baby. You are a conduit for them to relate to one another. It's romantic in theory. It's romantic in theory. No, one time I read an Ace Attorney fan fiction about a couple sharing a bottom. Very raunchy, also beautiful. And while I'm on this subject, ladies, I think y'all should learn how to write gay porn a little bit better. I'm sorry, no shade, but some of y'all write it the same way that straight men write sex scenes. I'm not really having that. I think that there's a certain je ne sais quoi about how gay men talk about gay sex and bodies. For example, I read a fiction once, could not tell you the series, but the author, a gay man, described the bottom as being so caked up that when he got in a squat, his cheeks didn't part. So then obviously I got in the squat and I didn't feel a breeze. And I said, wow, you learn something new every day. What was I talking about?
Right. What were you talking about?
Oh my God, that list.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
They got that, a little loud the whole show. All week long, John was just roll out. No, your ass being so fat, it don't put.
You know what? Can we stick to the Are we talking about couples that play or my ass? Which one?
It was choice, nigga. Let's go. Let's start with your ass. Go to couples. We got Glad I could.
Hello.
He's had a rough month, so I was just trying to make
No, that's funny though.
I was being.
But that is kind of funny when you were talking about a top and a versatile dating. That is the couple that ends up, having a third over, and it is the versatile guy who's like, "Oh my God, I haven't had ass in like 3 months." Just destroying about him.
Oh,
And then the other guy's like, well, I got to get some too, so I'm not jealous. And
None left. Shit.
Right.
You didn't fucking wreck it.
but it is always true that you're going to be more attracted to one than the other. I mean, sometimes they're both hot, but that is usually the situation when couples play together. One is
Right.
more verse, but they're a bottom in their relationship.
Mhm.
So what if the
Right.
bottom doesn't tell you that they want some butt or the verse person, and like all of a sudden y'all sit down having pancakes from the air fryer, and
Well, usually with the situation that I found, I've only known a few, is that the top tries to be verse for the verse, and it just doesn't work. Like it's uncomfortable. It doesn't work. The top, both of them are not enjoying the flip. They try to flip. It's not working for either. They thought they could make it work, and then
Mhm.
they need a conduit, as they say, to make it work.
That's love, baby. Which things flow.
Right. Basically.
Oh,
And so, like, the truth is, I think there are very loving relationships where people are willing to go without, the kind of sex that they want, but if they kind of figure out how to get the sex they want, which is typically playing together or having a trusting partner where they're so secure in their relationship that they can go play alone. Yeah.
Yeah, Christian says when it gets to a point where it can become very difficult. It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
To me, that point is usually more than 5 years in.
Right.
A relationship where it's been like 5 to 7, sometimes 10 years, where they know this person so well, and they just want them to be happy. Yeah.
Mary J. Blige. All I really want. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I to the gal in the jean bedazzled. We don't believe you. We don't believe you.
I tell you, that comment took me out when I read that. I'm like, you think I'm gonna let somebody with a full jean jacket top me?
It was a jacket in the stain.
But I'm so glad that somebody said that because we always have this conversation about the mass for mass men and what masculine is, and masculinity is different for everybody, and so. I do sometimes, because there are some people who are just steadfast, like, you got to be like the most masculine man on the planet. But then it's like, but some people would look at you, the fact that you sleep with other men, and think, well, that's very feminine. They think that's a very feminine trait. And so it literally, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Like some people are going to see masculinity one way and some people are going to see it the other way. And so I think sometimes some of the arguments about what's masculine, what's feminine is just kind of, it really doesn't matter, because the most masculine of men, somebody will find something about them that they think, especially because I always talk about how the things that we just like cutting your eyelashes, like long eyelashes is feminine now. It's like, really? What the hell are we doing?
Well, I remember. First of all, I think you're right about that. Masculinity and femininity are culturally constructed, right? The thing is, just because something is culturally constructed doesn't mean that it doesn't have power over us. So if the culture is telling you that something is feminine, even if you don't necessarily agree, you might be wondering, is this right for me? Does this make me look bad? For instance, in the eyes of my friends, of people around me, even if I don't find it a problem. I found this kind of funny as we were having the conversation about Stevie Wonder. Honestly, I thought it was interesting that when you were talking about Stevie Wonder as a person, you don't really think of him as a blind person, which I think is fascinating, because to me, as someone who's embedded within blind communities, Stevie Wonder is the archetype for blind people. Like if you tell someone they're blind, the first thing they think of is Stevie Wonder. It's like, oh, well, you don't, move your head around. You don't have glasses, so how are you blind? I'm like, what are you talking about?
What is that?
And that's what you're.
So I do have.
So I can explain it, because the funny thing is, I actually have the same eye condition as Stevie Wonder. He has a form of retinitis pigmentosa, or Stargardt's disease, and so it's basically where the center of your vision is what is not there. So he has peripheral vision, and if he's moving his head, he can see things better through the peripherals of his vision. So he's moving to see.
Okay, because this nigga described this nigga one time at a party, told him, you got a beautiful dress on. I'm like, Steve, you've been faking, nigga.
He's also wearing sunglasses because the center of his vision is incredibly sensitive to light, right? And it's painful to not wear the glasses. But anyway.
He has made I'm telling you, he made that shit cool, and he is the funniest man. He is the funniest motherfucker.
Yes.
If music didn't work out, stand up could have been.
Yeah. But just thinking about that, I tie that back to blind community and thinking about relationships, is that blind people want to date hot people. Like even if they cannot see for themselves that their partner is hot, they want their friends and family to say, "Oh, you pull someone who's hot."
Because boogers be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this blind nigga. He don't care what I look like.
Yeah, no, they care. They care. I don't care how good you smell, how sweet your voice is, how firm your body is. If their friends and family think you an ugly motherfucker, it's going to affect them. And that's the same thing I would say about masculinity and femininity. We should not pretend like what other people think about our partners doesn't matter. It does. And that's where a lot of this sort of aversion to femininity comes from. It comes from other people.
But do they like niggas? I don't know.
Yeah. It's real. Like, even if you don't care if your partner's feminine.
Put too much emphasis on it. I guess.
We do. But it's also real, and we should not discount the real level of like insecurity that can come from that sort of.
I told you what happened to me when I tried to go to the dark side. People got shit about me.
Yeah.
My homegirl was like, Greg, I know you're not.
Because I thought about this too. Like my aversion to dating white people is probably because of what people would say if I dated white people. That's like not the real actual part. Because I'm attracted to white people. I am. But then I think about like the realities of dating a white person. Like, I don't know if I want
that. Right.
That tracks. The way he talks, that tracks.
I would say the one thing white people have, I don't know if this is true or not, that when white people are like hairy, that shit turns me on so much because the contrast of the hair on the skin is like, fucking furry motherfucker.
If they're brunette or dark haired.
Yeah, dark haired white dude who's very hairy and thick and muscular. Oh shit. Like,
Lord, you got to turn the camera off.
I just did. Oh god.
Swag, would you date outside your race?
No. And for the same reasons. It's just and it's not that like because there's some nice looking white guys there are, but again, it's like there's so much that comes with dating them, and it's just like I just don't have the time. I don't have the time or the patience to have to go through that. I just don't. No, I'm not interested.
No.
Plus, I don't want to. Plus, if I ever blow up, I don't want to be that one. Like, see, this is what happens when the black guys get big. First thing they want to do is date somebody white. There's another one. Oh Lord!
It is funny when people say that. Yeah.
The whole time that nigga was broke, black niggas was all good.
Right, exactly. Although I can understand, like. Because especially like with Drag Race, we see it a lot with Drag Race, and I think a lot of guys get upset when they see that. But this kind of goes back to this whole thing about masculinity and femininity, that a lot of black men don't want to date somebody who's feminine. They don't want to date somebody who's a drag queen. They don't want anything to do with that. So it's like, so what are they supposed to do? If y'all don't want to, why are you mad that they want to get with somebody white?
Of course, being part Latino myself, I would date a Latino man, but I wouldn't date it. I would not date an Asian man. No. Yeah. I mean, it's just, what about Asian man? Malcolm.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. If they're, like I said, I'm a lumbersexual. If they look like a lumberjack, we're cool.
Not a motherfucking thing that you just made it up.
Not a lumbersexual. That's a new one.
I think I heard that on the Savage Love cast. Someone said that because they was like, I met this really thick lesbian who just happened to just be really masculine. And I was like, I totally fuck her. She looks like a dude.
Speaking of that, would you date somebody? We were talking about it in the Rewind clip. Would you date somebody who was trans?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I can see it because I've seen some of them. The funny thing is about someone who's trans is that they're very conscious about what masculinity means, and so like a trans man, they sometimes will tickle it even more so than just your average guy,
So I'm gonna tell you, I have dated a trans man.
Yeah,
it gets down into the weeds. Like, in my case, if he wasn't so sensitive about his manhood or his becoming, we could have.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
but he was just so sensitive, And this whole thing with nigga, don't get me pregnant. I was like, nah, that doesn't turn. I was like, I'm good.
That's the interesting thing. A lot of men who want to say that like they're very masculine do seem to be very insecure in that. They don't want any, like the dude with the bejeweled jacket. I'm sure if we knew him in real life and we gave him grief about that jacket, he probably would burn that jacket because he's just like, I don't.
She don't. That woman,
I'm doing the bending because I'm wearing a bejeweled jacket or something like that.
That woman is not nobody's top. That woman ain't nobody top. She said that to be on TV.
Now, if he said he top, we gonna say that we gonna let him identify as a top. But that goes exactly what I'm talking about. It's like it's all about perception. Just because he says that he is,
and there's not
most of us will say like, but that bejeweled jacket, okay, girl. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that. I know some feminine tops and they will blow your back out. Like nobody business. I know those cats, but
right.
There was something false and pretentious about his performance.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like he'll get off camera and go, "Ooh, bitch, Lord have mercy." I don't know why she asked me all those questions, right?
But can you be masculine and also do that?
You can,
Yeah.
but there is something that was inherently false about his performance on when she asked him a question. I know feminine tops, and they're like, "Bitch, I'm gonna fuck that nigga ass." You know what I mean? Girl, you know what I mean? This, that, and the third. I'll be like, well, you just go ahead and you go Glen Coco. You do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think. And so I always ask the question. So another question. Thanks for that. Chinese, Indian, not just Chinese, but Indian, Pakistani. No, Samoan, yes, but I'm into smells. All right, I ain't gonna lie to you. And I have a really, really, really good friend of mine who is Indian and vegan, and he doesn't smell like it. Well, okay, straight, but he doesn't smell like it. I'm like, okay, so hey, what do you do to get rid of your? It was like that Indian. I was like, yeah. He was like, I have to shower more than the average person to get, because I don't eat, and I eat a lot of, but you have to shower intensely,
Yeah.
I take supplements, that kind of. So it was like it's a thing, and culturally, we just don't want to do that shit. What did Christian say? I'm sorry, I missed it. There was a dude who came to my parties, and he didn't want anyone to touch his butt, and if you did, it was a problem. Okay, butt phobia, I know that, but they'll be the first ones when you get them alone to open it up and bust it wide. I love it.
You know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. I was thinking about how, when you're talking about who's versatile and who's not. So, I probably, identify as a bottom. But there are times versatility comes in a different context. And my versatility comes into context when I am comfortable with someone, or when that person is comfortable with me. That versatile sort of things come out. And I think this is where I think all of us are in the context of grinder culture, where like, what are you if I don't know who you are, and we are just making this one-on-one connection? Then yeah, I'm a bottom. But in other contexts, I'm not. And like, that is something that I'm not going to explain to some stranger. Like that is because it's not people are not interested in
but
those.
seemingly in white culture, let's not say top bottom, but in white culture and other cultures other than black, it's seemingly to see what feminine men can date. It's like it's really important in black culture that your partner look like your homeboy. I will never ever forget Swag and I going into that furniture store. That will forever ever be embraced, and it was a black woman. And now that somebody said it, I know what she was trying to say. You know what I mean? So she was like, "Oh, are y'all twins? Y'all bro?" She didn't say y'all, man. We get that too. Y'all brothers? No, but this bitch said she stopped us. Now, maybe I'm in mid-injury at this point, so like it's taking me a minute to get to the store. Like, so I'm all sweating and glistening like Rick James and shit. So I get in the store, And I stopped, and so I turned. He said, you okay? And so then she runs over. She's like, "Oh my God, are you guys twins?" Bitch, what?
It's so funny you say that because Cream and
I was
Shannon
gonna
now have
mention
a
them.
podcast, and they talk about this video that went viral of their marriage, and like some guy left a video talking about how now how you gonna marry your twin? That's just narcissistic. Like you gotta wake up every day, look at somebody who looks exactly like you, and be like, "Oh, you're beautiful." I'm just like, that's so bad.
Well, the funny thing is, as much as he protests the fact they don't look alike, the more I look at them doing this podcast together, the more they look alike. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You know, we're wearing the same outfit with the same glasses and shit. I would be like, okay.
Do we have the placard for their show? Because it is.
No, I told him to send it to me because I do want to make a placard for
I
this show.
thought we had one.
It's called Two Grooms in a Pod.
It's
I
called-
can pull up the show on Spotify. I'll do that.
It's called
But
Two Grooms in a Pod.
Two Grooms in a Pod. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty funny too.
It is Shannon, and it is just one. They're just sitting on their couch with the cat. Well, I don't know where the cat at. They ain't seen it.
I know they do need to bring the cat into the show.
Swag,
I'm not just saying that because I'm partial to cats, but I mean that's part of the family. So they just need to add.
Christmas said we all look like some celebrity to other races. That is so funny.
Oh yeah.
You know what's funny is this. I'm gonna try to get to the meat of the story because it's so long. One year we went to go see Madonna in New York at Yankee Stadium. I know. So somehow we ended up with an extra ticket. So Brandon met the editor of Korean Vogue and invited him to go. So when he met us at the apartment, he says, it was me, Matt, and Brandon. And he says, "Ooh, all of you look like Will Smith. You look like Will Smith." Don't
wow. Okay.
MB don't look like Big Brother B. Don't look like Will Smith. So every time a new black person came out the back, he was like, "You look like Will Smith."
Wow.
So here it is. Two Grooms in a Pod. Love it, and it's funny. It's my new obsession. We're black and we know them, so they don't look alike to me.
No.
Right. And so I'm trying to.
They have similar builds.
But just like us, we have similar features. But it's
right.
We both have glasses and we both have beards, and we're both.
But to say that they're narcissistic because they married their twin, that's diabolical.
Right, ain't he? Like they just woke up one morning. Well, he went looking for that man.
Right.
Thank God they found each other after years of searching for love.
I'm sure somebody probably asked him, "Did y'all do a DNA test to make sure y'all not related?"
Good job, man. Would have asked me that. Stupid holders. So it was just like you really gotta. I don't know, but that is important to black people that our partners are, pleasing to the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because look at the pushback that what's his name get from Miss Netta,
Charles and Netta.
Yeah,
Charles and Miss Netta. Yeah.
Your own Charles, nigga, like Charles, I want you. You know what I mean? What you want with that cockeyed bitch?
Charles, your dinner's ready. They give them so much grief for that, but you know what? It's to the rest of us.
Right.
We always in somebody else's business trying to dictate to them what they need to be looking for. It's like, need them alone. If they are happy with what they're doing, that's between.
Well, Miss Netta might be the bet. That bitch might can fry a chicken bird up. So you fuck around, you can cook. I might be a Charles. I ain't fucking Miss Netta, but that bitch can give me a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. So I think, we always talk about the masculine and feminine construct, and it seems, I think my 50,000 foot view on this is that it always seems overly important in the Black community, but it's like we place a huge. So in Malcolm's case, Malcolm likes lumberjacks because he's a lumberjack. You know what I mean? He don't want to have to bend down and get niggas kisses and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like because he's a big, tall, gigantic man with a huge afro. And so and the crazy part is he's a very silent, soft-spoken man. But he's a masculine man. He's soft-spoken. So he was so sweet. He came to a birthday event I had. And as quiet as he is, he tried to walk in the room silently. But he's such a presence. Undoubtedly, I said, "Oh God, is everybody looking?" Because he's painfully shy. So I just want to run over there and be like, "No, don't look."
Right. Nothing to see here.
He will never come back ever again. Don't look over there. No, but he was okay. But it's really that's the thing. No, I think and all my horror friends. Is that your co-host?
Yeah.
You get all those noises. Like I wouldn't set you gals up with the garbage man. Sit down. It's just they know what they do. But we don't.
You know who you are.
As you mentioned that, I was just looking at an Instagram page of the hottest garbage man I've ever seen.
Of course.
He was like 6'8" and just like thick and muscular as fuck. I was like, oh.
Of course, you wouldn't start throwing out trash up and come pick it up.
Like, oh,
You just
can you help me with this can over here?
Right. Cue the porn music.
Now, do me a quick favor. So the laughs and the hijinks don't stop here today. They will continue tomorrow. Devon is back in the building from a sad hiatus, but he is back. He is his jolly self. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, him and the Blurred Council are back in the building at 5 p.m. Please check him out. I may even tune in tomorrow to welcome him back. I'm going to say a couple of snapping Ben jokes, and then he's going to block me.
I'm sure he'll come back.
Oh, God.
Like, bitch, I'm your boss. Don't block me. Not joking, I kid. And so Monday, Malcolm and I will be back. Wow, it's I quit a whole job because I missed it. So.
we will make it lighthearted. I said for Mondays.
Promise.
Okay. Promise.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me put the old placard back up. There we go.
Oh,
hey.
we back. Hey, we back. Leave it up for a minute. I want to think of that. We back. I'm such a hater.
I know because you used to give Devon so much hate talking about you stole my spot.
I had to give it up for a reason. He didn't steal anything. I begged him to do it because I didn't want to lose the slot.
Right.
He was like, "Damn, Greg, I did you a favor." I was like, "Allegedly, very allegedly. I don't know." But definitely, and again, Tuesdays, check out my man Swag for Life on the I was about to say on the Swag Sit Down. On Swag for Life, my man. What's the name of the show? Oh my God, I just went.
Swag Suite.
The Swag Suite presented. Does anybody ever get like that? Like something you do all the time. It just totally went out of my head. The Swag Suite presented by M3, hosted by my man Swag for Life. Catch him also in those TikTok streets. He is out there doing it well. Wednesdays, Malcolm, you are back in the hot seat on Wednesday.
Yes.
And you would now last Wednesday, I apologize because I'm not a philosophizer. I'm more of an entertainer, information person. But Malcolm will be back in his seat to philosophize and help you all build the bridge over troubled water because I ain't the one for that. I'm a more you can do it, bitch. You can do it. Right.
I figure we'll talk about our book selection for the month. Are we
going to talk about the other one that I actually finished?
This one, yes.
And it bugged me out that this whole, oh my God. So yeah. Okay, we're going to need to
So that's the one we finished. We'll talk. I'll come up with some specific topics, but I did finish it with my mom. So I read. One of the things I do for the book club is I read the books ahead of time, and I also like
Can you
summarize.
re-record her opinion? I know she won't come on the show. But
I wonder what she thinks about it. I don't know. And I the funny thing is, I should
like I really because like I'm now I got a bunch of questions. Tune in to Patreon, by the way.
yeah.
Now I have a bunch of questions about Malcolm's mom reading this book because the book is hella. I passed it out to all my black female friends.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because of, just FYI, black men can get some value out of it as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's mainly
once
aimed at church.
church black
women,
women,
yeah.
black ladies, but it gives us a window into like you think you have it if you are on the LGBTQIA scale and you are black and male, you think you have it hard. Check it out. So
Yeah, it's just like these impossible standards, talking about like the origins of certain misogynistic tropes that then become homophobia. I think all of homophobia originates with a disrespect for women in general and women's sexuality specifically, because the idea that a man would participate in what some would consider women's sexuality is like a downgrade or like a an insult to manhood in general. And why would it be an insult for manhood unless you believe that there's something inherently inferior about women? And I just think that's where it comes from. That's where our issues with transness comes from. The idea that there's this fundamental difference between men and women that you should not shift or change anything. It begins with misogyny. And I just think even if it doesn't affect us directly, it affects so many people around us. And then it affects all of us indirectly. So, and I just think it's also well written. She's funny. I think she is pretty funny.
and Party People is not that long.
Yeah, it's not long either. And it's an interesting one.
I rarely enjoy my homework assignments from Malcolm, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to I'm reading a lot more, and so I'm making sure I vet the books that we do. And so that'll be, and I'll announce our book for April on Wednesday. So
with that said, we mustn't forget my man Cream Diggler. Dr. Diggler's on Thursday nights. He's off this week, so I catch a rerun with the Diggler Digest. He's a man of many wigs, hats, and talents. So join him Thursday night, 7 p.m. on this very network, www.youtube.com/MailMediaMind. Two, because they stole one. So that's fun. And we'll be back here next Saturday to entertain you and dazzle you, delight you. If you have any show ideas or any content you would like to add to the show, please you can hit me up on Mail Media Mind on Facebook, Instagram, and I don't go on X, so Malcolm is in that inbox. I don't
do the inbox much. I'm there for the adult content.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
I mean, the funny thing is, since it has spiraled into nothingness, like the porn has just gotten better and better.
Wow.
That's all there is. Like, it's the only thing, porn and like defensive Trump.
I literally think that's the only thing holding Twitter up is the
porn. Yeah.
Hold on. A friend, Christian, a friend in Harlem said these men are what today?
Probably bitches.
Yeah, well, was that me? Did I say that when I lived in Harlem? That probably was me. Anyway, so with that said, please and don't forget to join me next Saturday right here on the Saturday sit down as we sit. I sit my ass in this chair, my cheeks will lift and separate in this beautiful chair. We'll talk about whatever comes across my fancy. Thank you so much. We know you have choices.
And don't forget, we're looking. Greg is looking to do a game show called You Should Already Know That. So if we have any couples who want to participate, contact this man right over here and get in on the fun.
It's called You Should Have Knew That. So, you can inbox me on Instagram, the Thompson, Mr. Drayton, Facebook, Gregory Drayton. Then do an Instagram; it's a little better. Or you can just go to the Mail Media Mind inbox and hit me up there. Listen, I'm gonna say it out loud. Fuck it, I love y'all. I love you all to pieces. Thank you. Each and every one of you, hundreds and thousands of you monthly. Take a look at us, and I'm still overwhelmed by that. And still, you know what I mean? That is amazing that people want to hear what we have to say. That amazes me to no end. And I can't tell you how humbled I am. But I'm not a very humble person, just by nature. But I can't tell you that humbles me when it makes me get because this morning I was just tired. I'm telling you, and I was like, you know, people, and look at the audience sides. People are out there, you know, hearing my voice. I appreciate it. And Frazier, we're gonna have you on the show talk about all the good things that you do. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us each and every Saturday. I am Alice's baby, Gregory, the talented Mr. Drayton, for Swag, and my man Malcolm, the Philosopher King, Big Mouth 2 on all the social medias. And don't forget to check out John on Instagram. You can check him out as at the Double J Chronicles. I forget it, Lord, he gonna cuss me out. You forget about me, right? Join him on the Double J Chronicles. That's where I get my news from these days. So,
Yeah.
and again, rest in peace to George Foreman. I keep doing that wrong. And stay encouraged, Black people. Stay encouraged. We got this. It's a car note. 36 months. In 12 months, this could be over, but the whole presidency would be over in about 36 months. So let's go. Let's get it done. And take care of each other. Peace.
Join us every weekend, oh, the vibe's so fine. Saturday, sit down with Mr. Drayton. Shine!
Grab a friend.